Hoyoverse and designs. Hearing these two together brings a level on Discord on the internet that is on sometimes unbelievable levels. People within and outside the communities ever cause an uproar when characters are street marketed or leaked. Because some people just couldn't keep it in their pants. You don't need to put the phones away, it really helps at times. Anyway, the name is Crimson Disako and I'm here to break down the chaos birthed from our words. Before we get into the actual video, I'ma be real with you. I had this video planned all the way in March 2026 because of the chaos that came from ZZZ, or to be more exact, when GCA and Promethea were reviewed. Actually, not exactly reviewed, they were leaked, and the chaos birthed from that. Now that is a whole different matter. Now, I revisit this script and this video because of Smith's Naya characters being reviewed. And oh boy, did we burn down the kitchen. But why though? So after doing some research recently and also going back to the research I've done before across the Hoyoverse games as well as other games such as Fate, War, Verse, etc., I have narrowed down the reason people have against Hoyo down to 3. They're all pretty solid, but there exists hypocrisy in them, which I will explain later down the line. And finally, this video by no means aims at feeling harassment or hatred or hate speech and whatnot towards any person. Nor are my words definitive or fully objective, so do not take them as the be-all, end-all, scripto, whatever. With that all out of the way, we can finally begin this video with reason number 1. Now, out of the main reasons people criticize Hoyo for their designs and philosophy, this is the most divisive because people are attracted to different things. Some like dresses and skirts on the ladies while others prefer pants. Some like men with exposed upper bodies while others like jackets. This also applies to story and personality. But we're talking about the fabrics they wear, not what they do in your shits. I'll pray for you later. And by the way, and I'ma just say this right now, appeal does not equal sexy or fan service. For example, Fugue, Himeko, and even the recently revealed Saritsa have designs that, while do have some sexy aspects, lean more and carry a strong sense of elegance. However, the 3 carry the actual problem people call out that I describe as same face syndrome. Now, many of the females across the games are noted to carry the same aspects of exposed shoulders and backs, even the arms, short dresses and skirts, high heels, the list can go on, you just have to search, and not even the men are saved, okay? Not even the men are saved. The jackets, the covered up bodies, the serious faces, the pants like this. Now, these points are pretty much understandable, and when you do see them outside and before Hoyo became who they are, you get a sense of fatigue and burnout. Now, weirdly enough, this gives Hoyo a sense of identity and cohesion, which are rather necessary in the competitive space of gacha gaming in general, so maybe there's good in there. Now, speaking of cohesion, rather ironic that this is a criticism when I mentioned earlier how Hoyo has some level of cohesion, so allow me to elaborate, okay? A major part of character designs is how different elements work together to bring the best out of each other and properly deliver the appeal and vision that devs have in mind. They do have that in mind. Now, a controversial but good example within the Hoyoverse games is the Raiden Shogun. Now, people and us, we can complain a lot about her on many fronts, but the elements of outfits just work well together to make her not only stand out and withstand the test of time as one of the most popular characters to date. Okay, even outside of Genshin Impact. Okay, now the same Could not be said for characters like Jaska, who got slandered like crazy due to their color scheme, and another classic Hoyo trope that is the asymmetry. Now, to be fair, the Nightland hate train back in 2024 may have played a part into how she got slandered, but she got the shortest end of the stick. I think nobody in that region got as slandered as hard as her. Maybe the closest being Setlani and Mawika, but I think he will just got hard of it. At least her story and character were pretty much interesting. But we live in a world where first impressions matter more over post-release, okay? It's a very understandable thing, but it is rather frustrating because there is actual diamonds beneath some of these characters we hate their designs for. She's here. Now we come to the third and final reason, that is correlation. Now, initially I had 4 reasons for this video, but brought it down to 3 because the last 2 were pretty similar, which is this one, by the way. Now, when some information of a region is known and characters are dream marketed with bits of information, much of the criticism goes down 2 paths. Does this design reflect their profession? And the evidently more important one for people, does this fit their world/region? Genshin is noted as the biggest offender for many in this regards, with majority of the cast having outfits that, with real life logic, are pretty much impractical for their surroundings, nor do they reflect their professions that well. Mawika is unfortunately the best example for both cases, okay? She is a god of fire and a ruler of Natnan, which is a very sunny and hot nation compared to others. You need to see why she was one of the most hated per region outside of representation. Another example outside of Hoyoverse games is if you know this character and actually like this character, I got so many questions. In fact, no, I understand you, man. I was in that same boat when she came out. That is Fanny from Silver and Blood. Would you believe me if I told you that she is a warden of a church-owned prison she was born and raised in, but is a masochist because she got tortured as a kid for 90 days straight for accidentally helping her father escape, and believes that pain is the path to salvation? Would you also believe me if I told you that this design is more risky than a practically naked dragon lady? Yeah, lent of this game because of Mujin, played because of the characters, and left because of God, okay? I live to serve him, not to please the flesh. But we can now focus on the second half, and that is the hypocrisy behind these reasons. When you play games for a long time and start getting involved in the communities on different platforms, you notice some things. When you take time to actually read and do research of your own, said things become clear. And when people reacted to this Naya cast, you take the clarity to point out these things. Not fully objective, but you still have the clarity to point them out. Starting with, understandably, we live in a world where anything and everything is hated, especially successful stuff. Hoyoverse is no different, but even then the hate towards the designs is either too much or was overstayed its welcome. Not lying. Now, this is very evident when you look at other games such as FGO and WoW. Both receive their fair share of hate and criticism, but it's rather tame in comparison, and only gets massive when they are compared to Hoyoverse. Like, recall the Amos situation? Like, brother, like that situation wouldn't have gotten as big if people didn't make comparisons to Siren. I kid you not. Now, this is also another factor on the hyperfixation on hating Hoyo, okay? There is this desire of comparing and envying what other people have. when different games and characters themselves appeal to different people, like I mentioned earlier. Just because they don't appeal to you or no longer appeal to you anymore doesn't mean that you should go on hating and masquerade your hating as constructive criticism and please fix their design. Which, speaking of, boy oh boy, this is where you can find the biggest load of hypocrisy. Now, I'ma just get this out of the way. Having characters in different or alternative outfits and to an extent races is inherently not bad due to alternate universes, fan works, and whatnot. However, there are three reasons these fixes don't work. Number one, they don't count as fan arts or alternative universes, even by the so-called fixes. Keep this in mind. Number two, majority of the fixes are clearly catered to what the fixes want and not in line with what Hoyoverse vision. Because say what you will about the designs and Hoyo, these devs have an intent and a vision and evidently did their homework. Okay, they evidently did their research. If you actually pay attention to some of the designs, yes, it's there. Number three, because these fixes don't count as fan arts or alternative universes, not only are the fixes disrespectful, the race swapping is straight up racist. Especially when it's characters who have no relation to said race. Y'all remember the whole general facial or the choco dipped Aglaya back in 2024? Oh, this one is actually my favorite one, which I just found recently. For the Yuri lovers, the Blacked Yai Miko and Raiden Shogun. Oh man. And interestingly enough, back in 2024, during the Natland boycotting and the VA incident, I even wrote a diss track calling out the hypocrites and even had a beat ready for it. But I never got to record it, and I even put these aside because I chose not to propagate more hate into the thing and chose to spread love. Even though this video I'm making is far from the love people with a vision. Now, other than the hyperfixation on the hatred, there is also a fixation on wanting the designs to reflect their profession a whole lot more. This is rather understandable because you wouldn't know what they are doing with their appearances alone for much of the characters, to be honest. So it does make sense. However, people often overlook the other and actually more important sides of the characters. And I will use Arlecchino and Shilonen as an example, since one is regarded as one of the best designed characters and the other got hated for their designs. So anyway, let's start with Arlecchino. Now, she is a mysterious and seclusive woman who keeps much to herself and puts up a callous and intentionally misleading front before others to maintain distance. Hence, her clothing serves as a concealment and a reflection of this nature in a literal and, more importantly, metaphorical sense. And while she is referred to as a father and acts like a man, she still possesses a level of femininity. Oh, sorry, I pronounced that wrong. A level of femininity. Then you look at Shilonen. Yes, she's a blacksmith, but she's also a carefree person. She's into music, she does skating, dances. So her design, her character, or rather her design, her clothing reflects more of this lifestyle that she has over her profession of a blacksmith. And with all I've said, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do apologize for the audio, doing this in an open room and the noises here and there, and not with the proper mic. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, both good and bad. I'll accept it all.